Welcome to the Castle of Spirits Paranormal Podcast. This is Extrasode number 9. It is brought to you today by castleofspirits.com, where you can read more than 4,600 true paranormal stories collected over 26 years. That's a lot of years.
It sure is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about as many inches of snow as we're getting right now.
Oh
so
my
this
gosh.
episode is also brought to you by snow.
Yeah, snow demons, which we'll get to later.
Oh my.
So, Vince, I think I'll just jump right in and read you a story. How about it?
We're going to tell some ghost stories now.
We are going to tell some ghost stories.
All right.
It's perfect for this snowy, dark, blizzardy day. The story I'm going to read today is called The Old Lady in the Nursing Home.
Ooh.
This is such a good story. And it was submitted by Glenn in Victoria, Australia, November 2010. I've written to this site once before about my first experience at seeing a spirit/ghost. If you look up Stamford Hotel Ghost, you will see it. Since then, I've come into contact with a few spirits/ghosts, mainly good experiences, but all rather unusual. I've had one extremely bad experience with a spirit that scared the hell out of me, but I don't like to discuss that one. And now you've piqued our interest, and I really want to hear that story, Glenn. Maybe one day I'll have the courage to write it down. I will tell you of my recent experience with a spirit/ghost. I'm currently working as a fire alarm tester, and I go to different buildings each day to test their fire alarm panels. I will not name the company I work for or the place it happened, but I will tell you it was an old nursing home in Elsternwick, which has been renovated and extended. The nursing home is 3 stories. The front and rear of the building are only a few years old, but the center of the building is 3 stories. You can tell that the middle of the building is at least 80 years old by the fittings and the plaster work in that section. I'd finished testing all of the detectors, etc., on the first and second floor and needed to get up to the 3rd floor. I went to see the maintenance man and asked for the key to the 3rd floor as it was locked. He gave me a big cheesy grin and said, "Are you really sure that you want to go up there? No one's been up there in years and it's a bit of a mess. Also, the lights don't work up there." I said, "No problem. I have a mag light and I have to do a report on the whole building." He gave me the key and away I went. I got to the door on the 3rd floor and couldn't open it. I twisted the lock in many different ways and pulled the key in and out of the lock several times to try to get it to open. My swearing was starting to get louder, but I couldn't be bothered going back to see the maintenance guy. Finally, I said loudly, "Damn it, if it doesn't open this time, I am going to kick this frickin' door in." To my amazement, the door opened. I went inside and felt around for the light switch. It didn't work. I pulled out my mag light and looked around. The place was dark, dirty, and dusty with cobwebs everywhere. Rat poo and possum poo littered the floor. There was junk everywhere. And then I heard her. "Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me," she said. I shone my torch toward where the voice came from, and I nearly pooped my pants. There was an old lady in a pink nylon dressing gown and fluffy slippers leaning on a 4-prong walking frame. I could tell immediately she was a ghost as my torch shone straight through her and only the shadow of the walking frame reflected on the wall. I said, "How can I help you?" She said, "What time is the Albury train arriving?" I thought, holy crap, there's no train station around here. So I said to her, "Sorry, darling, the train isn't coming today. They've sent a bus, and if you follow the light, it will take you to the bus." She said, "Thank God you came along and told me. I've been waiting here for ages." With that, she proceeded to turn the walking frame around and shuffle off. Within about 10 seconds, she disappeared, but the walking frame stayed where it was. I tested all of the break glass alarms and detectors in about a minute flat on that floor and got out of there quick. I went back to see the maintenance guy to give the keys back, and with a cheesy grin, he said to me, "Well, did you see her?" I said, "Who?" He said, "The old lady." I said, "What old lady?" He said, "There's a ghost up there, an old lady in a pink dressing gown." I said, "Yeah? Are you serious? I didn't see anything." I didn't want to let on that I had seen her. I don't know if I helped her to walk into the light and finish her journey on Earth, or if she just vanished temporarily. I guess I'll have to wait until next year when I can go back to test there again. So thank you, Glenn in Victoria, Australia, for submitting that in November of 2010. And we want to know two things, Glenn. Did you see her again the next year? And what is this other terrifying story that you've alluded to? We need both of those things answered immediately, Glenn. So if you're out there listening, come on, fess up. What'd you think of that story, Vince?
I thought it was terrifying and fascinating at the same time because it puts you in the shoes of the person, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who's not seen a ghost likes to sort of contemplate, what would I do if I actually met a ghost? Would I talk to them? Or would I try to get some information out of them? It makes me think that I'd probably just interact with them just like that and, move on with my day, I guess.
Yeah, and have a panic attack and collapse into a pile of goo afterward,
right? Although I think I would have stayed and talked to the guy.
I think I would have too. I don't understand the whole I don't want to say anything in case someone thinks I'm crazy. I don't really care. If I see something, everybody's going to know about it. Yeah, I really liked that story. It gave me some chills today.
On a day that we need warmth, you're going for
true.
chills.
It's true.
And speaking of chills, this next story, the one that I chose to read today, it was submitted in September 2011 by Kim in Arizona.
Okay.
And it's called Strange Man. My boyfriend and I had been having some unusual activity in the home for several months, not really thinking a whole lot of it. We'd gone on a visit to Los Angeles, and it was late, at least 1 o'clock in the morning. We were outside of the hotel where we were staying, sitting in the car, chatting away before we got out to go up to our room. We had been involved in a very in-depth conversation when we both suddenly stopped talking to watch a man coming closer to our car. Which isn't unusual in itself. As many of you know, LA is huge, with tons of people of all ages, walks of life, and they're frequently out at all times of day and night. What made this strange was that he was walking very oddly. He was an older man, approximately late 70s, and he was wearing a very sharp tuxedo, but sneakers and a backpack. That was, different, so we watched him slowly creep closer, and he was looking straight ahead, not noticing us staring at him as he went by. His face and appearance just didn't seem normal or human. We watched him slowly disappear from view and remained quiet for a few minutes. At the same time, we both started immediately saying how weird the guy was and how not normal he had been. We came to the conclusion that to us, he appeared to be not human, but rather wearing a disguise of a human. We were not threatened in any way by him. It was just very, very disturbing. Has this ever happened to anyone else before? It wasn't like one of those black-eyed people that some individuals have mentioned. It was like he was wearing a very ill-fitting human face mask. So that story creeped me out. Again, that was from Kim in Arizona, September 2011, Strange Man. And it kind of fits in well with an episode we did a couple of episodes back about the black-eyed children.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
The grinning man.
Indrid Cold, yeah.
The men in black. These individuals who people have reported moving throughout the earth, appearing to wear what looks like a human disguise.
Yeah, trying real hard to fit in, but in doing so, really standing out and giving their position away.
I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. I've experienced my fair share of weird people, but never anybody that gave me the chills, like stared through me with their black as pitch eyes. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
I mean, just you.
Wow. I don't even have to come back for that.
Me.
Believe me, I may do so as well.
Hey, you heard it, guys.
But on to other subjects. Yeah, if anybody out there has ever had any kind of experience with a really freaky person like that, I want to know.
Yeah.
So send your stories and go to castleofspirits.com. Get in touch. Jane.
Yes.
Do you have anything else to share on this lovely wintry day of spring?
So here's the thing. Through this whole time we've been making episodes, we've been like, podcast, here's our podcast on your favorite podcast player. And we also have some YouTube videos. But the fact of the matter is, Vince, our YouTube videos are getting a ton of action.
It's mainly because my face does not appear in the videos.
Well, we have some comments on YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And so
All
I
right.
thought we could read a couple of them.
Let's do.
Yeah. So we have this comment on YouTube. Texas T says, I know every single story up till about 2015 or so. I sent an email a while back about a story that I've been racking my brain over. When The Smiling Man became popular a couple years ago, it reminded me of one that I read back in the 90s, either a similar one or the exact same one in COS. To me, the absolute most frightening stories on COS are A Voice in the Attic and The Matron of the York Hotel. Those are both excellent, excellent stories. I was attending university in Central Texas in 97 through 98, and I used to come home from work late at night and read the stories, creeping myself out. I can't believe I'm 46 now and reading the stories just takes me back. And we actually remember your email, Texas T, and we read it, I believe, and really recorded an entire episode based on it. It was episode 13. Vince, what was that episode called?
Episode 13, Top Hat Man plus run-alongs and triskaphysophophobia, fear of 13. That was a great episode, and thanks so much for that suggestion.
Yeah, that was a really great. I love it when we get messages that, spawn an entire episode, and that one definitely did.
And for that comment. And don't feel bad about being 46. I'm a couple of years older than you, and I'm still doing the same exact thing.
We actually got our first critical comment also. Vince.
Oh yeah? I like this. I like these.
They said, "Stop ruining the stories. You're interrupting the literature to tell us it's graphic is unprofessional. P.S. We don't care what words you like. That commentary can wait until the stories are finished." So I responded, I said, "Hey, thanks for the comment. We'll read it on our next episode." And Vince, the saying is true. You do catch more flies with honey, because Root Beer Soda Pop Parodies replied to me and said, "Thanks for being so cool about it. I know I sounded like a dick. I write a lot of material, music, lyric, short stories, and so I like to hear the others' writings as well. And I can appreciate that, you know."
I have one question that I have about his comments. What gave him the impression that we were professionals at this at all?
Of any caliber. Right.
I mean, if you count the number of times I stutter, well, actually, a lot of times I'll edit those out. So maybe we do come across quasi-professional.
Right.
But we're just a couple of people having fun, reading ghost stories to each other, trying to freak each other out, and in the process, maybe freaking somebody else out. So, but yeah.
And I have a lot to say. I'm an interrupter. Yeah, it's gonna keep happening. So welcome to the show. But seriously, thank you for the comment. I do appreciate it. And, I feel like we made friends, and that's good.
Yes, friends are always good. Spreading horror and spewing scary stories. Can scary stories be spewed?
I guess.
Anyway, go on.
So that is really all the comments that I wanted to read today. I did want to read one other thing before we wrap up.
Oh?
So many of you may know, but most of you at this point probably do not know that Vince over here, your intrepid ghostkeeper.
You're not going to tell everybody what a great dancer I am.
No, because you're not. He's a really bad dancer.
No, that's not true.
But what he really excels at, besides being a bad dancer, is being an incredible writer.
Oh, shucks. Now you're just being kind.
No.
Oh, stop.
I shall not. So Vince is a phenomenal writer, and he and I have actually published 2 books together of short ghost, paranormal, strangey stories.
All fiction.
And we published these a couple years ago.
Well, don't be modest now.
What?
The book is essentially a collection of short stories that I wrote and that Jane provided artwork for.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did some little paintings.
And so
for
these
them.
books include words and images.
There are 2 books. They are both called Shadows on the Page. The other one's called More Shadows on the Page.
Well, the first book is called Shadows on the Page. The second book is called More Shadows on the Page.
Yes.
All in keeping with the great tradition of scary stories to tell in the dark.
Right, except we didn't make 3 because we suck. If you're interested in checking them out, there will be a link in the show notes /video description. You can also find them in the attic on castleofspirits.com. But I wanted to read one of the stories from the book.
What?
To kind of, in celebration of our glorious weather that we have today, where it's blizzarding on March 30th again. So this story is called The Snow Devil.
Oh, I like this one. I know this one.
Yeah, you should. You wrote it.
Oh, okay.
All right, hush up. The weather forecast promised 16 inches of snow. We got 62 instead. The stripped bare trees outside my window bear the brunt of winter's snowy wrath, and their limbs wilt under its weight like failing arms. I wonder how long they'll stand. Far overhead, shielded behind a dense sheet of clouds, the sun is racing away, taking with it any chance of reprieve from the cold. I feel its retreat on the tingling tips of outstretched fingers and deeper down, past flesh and fat and muscle, to the very bones that tie me together. The face in the tree stares downward in defeat as the inches pile on. The knot that forms its eye bears a curious expression of desperation and resolve, and the mouth below hangs open in a scream. It's an all-too-human expression. A part of me wants to rush to it, stumbling up the hill through thigh-high drifts, but something tells me it wants nothing I can offer. 20 minutes pass, and then another 20 more. It is only when I begin to turn away that I finally see what's been there all along, lying motionless at the periphery of my vision, as if waiting to be discovered. The shape in the snow twitches once, then falls still, as if doing so will serve to mask its existence. But now that my eyes have laid upon it, the creature in the snow cannot be unseen. With fluid, elegant grace, it stands, and as my jaw falls open like an unhinged trapdoor, my eyes follow it up, 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 until its fully revealed height reaches so far beyond the drooping ends of snow-laden branches that it nearly disappears against the sky's blackening underbelly. If there were eyes at the center of that snowy mass staring back at me, I cannot remember, will not remember, for doing so may cause my mind to break. I jerk the curtains closed and rush away. I hunker by the fire and dream of treeless plains and sun-scorched vistas that have never known the winter. So, once again, that was The Snow Devil in the book More Shadows on the Page, and that was written by Vince Font.
Oh, damn, that was a pretty good story, wasn't it?
It was a really good story. And I also, and what was that last line? I also am dreaming of treeless plains and sun-scorched vistas that have never known the winter.
Yeah, that's just about right for a day like today, where it appears that it's never going to stop snowing.
It's never going to stop.
Jane and I are pretty much religious non-shovelers. Because there's always something better to do than to go outside in the snow and shovel, especially when you have a four-wheel drive.
Yeah, our four-wheel drive. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the rest of our neighborhood looks at us and they're like, well, they're not out shoveling again.
Nobody comes here. It's a creepy place.
Right. We don't regularly have physical visitors to the castle.
So if you too despise shoveling snow, let us know. Go to castleofspirits.com and send us a message.
At the lounge. Send us a message. castleofspirits.com/lounge.
Just go to Castle of Spirits. You can just wander the hallways.
You can just wander the hallways. You'll find a way to contact us.
You stumble into the library, read a bunch of stories, go over to submit your own story. Tell us what happened to you that scared the hell out of you.
Yes. It doesn't have to be ghosts, friends. We like it all.
In fact, we have a show coming up that I'm not going to give anything away, but it's got nothing to do with ghosts.
Ooh, and you know what, friends? If you would like to know what that is before anyone else, while you're at the castle, sign up for our mailing list, because we tell our mailing list friends about things that are coming up.
Giving people opportunities to submit their own stories to make it in time for the readings and all sorts of other good stuff.
That's right.
So, as we wrap up another episode of the Castle of Spirits Paranormal Podcast, Extrasode number 9, we wish you all reprieve from the snow.
Thank you.